Who wants to kick off?
Well,
Well, I actually was fascinated to read that you're developing a trilogy.
that's true, yeah.
And I thought, what a brilliant idea. All about Norfolk?
Yeah, well, yeah, certainly that's the landscape. Although the next one, hopefully, and to be fair, Meredith, we're so early on with the whole scenario, and I was just saying to the last interview that, you know, I don't want to tilt anything, but yeah, so it's the next one starts in Coventry, but ends primarily, a lot of it is in Norfolk, it ends up in Norfolk.
Great.
Yeah.
And it's nothing to do with the short that you, or there was a little project about Lithuanians I saw on IMDb that you were...
No.
No.
Do you know? Yeah, I don't know who put that up. Because I'd want to, yeah.
It's a great idea.
Can't remember, was that it's the Lithuanian. I did a film in Latvia a few years ago, and then out of that came that Lithuanian one. But I did it with another character, yeah. And it worked. It wasn't. I better not. I better stop talking. No, it's not that. It's not that one.
I mean, in terms of the story itself, I mean, where did it come from? I mean, how much is personal experience for you and your experiences of Norfolk? I mean, you mentioned doing this trilogy potentially in Norfolk.
Yeah.
Is it conceivable that a film like this in your mind could have actually been made anywhere other than Norfolk?
No. No, I don't think so. Well, yeah. If someone said, "Look, gun to my head or £1 million," and then I would translate it. But from the outset, it was firmly rooted in my mind there. Yeah. I mean, I knew the stock car track. I knew the people that ran that. A close friend runs an agency dealing with migrant workers, so I'm familiar with that landscape too. So I think it'd been hard to. It was never put to me, but and always, yeah, it was Norfolk. And so yeah,
is that where you're from?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I wasn't born there. It's where I live.
And it's so you've really captured that flat kind of beautiful.
Do you know Norfolk?
Yes, I do.
Do you? Brilliant.
Hookham, or is it Holcombe?
Holcombe, yeah.
I love it.
It's great.
I love going up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's undiscovered in a lot of ways, which I think
Completely.
comes across.
That's why we've got to keep stum, because it's just brilliant, you know. You know, it's a part of. I think it's a part of the UK that it's just unlike any other. Yeah.
And the beaches.
Huge beaches. Well, Holcombe, you know.
Yes, I mean wide, flat.
Huge. I mean, it's just a gorgeous landscape, and I think some people think it's an awful place, but I don't. And I think that maybe...
Well, you brought out a little bit about, I think there was the bus driver said, it's a dead-end area or something.
A sort of shithole, you've got to get out of this shithole. But that's not my feeling for that landscape at all, but it was just there as a kind of method that really it's the line that has the payoff at the very end when he does escape.
Yes.
But it's not. I don't see it in those terms.
So it's not.
But for that story, he was just trapped, and so it was coming from that point of view.
So it's not necessarily Norfolk he's escaping in or trying to.
No, not at all. It's more that situation he's in. So the bus driver might view Norfolk as a shithole, and that's his perception of dragging these kids up and down those roads every day to and from school. And I think he probably sees. Yeah, last day of school, get out of this place, go. But I don't, that's it, you know, I love that landscape. Yeah.
And I love the dynamic between the three of them. And I'm referring to Sienna Guillory's character and the older character with the young boy, with the Goob. The way it works.
Which do you mean the lad that he's with at the start?
Well, that as well, but I think this idea you've got about this older man kind of taking over his mother, but then they're in competition as well in a sort of way, aren't they, on another girl?
Oh, you're talking about Shaw? Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Yes,
no,
sorry.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And I don't think it's uncommon, that dynamic.
No.
The mum... you know, look, I think this is really what it's about. It's about when Goob realises that his mum loves Sean's character more. We know that he's lost his mum's love. She's yeah.
She's a little bit of a victim, isn't she, in that respect? Because she's a
desperate
victim
to hang
of
on
the
to the man.
And the boy, because she kind of cuddles him.
Absolutely, and wants to keep him in that childlike state. He's quite manipulative in that way.
Yes.
And I think when he sees through that, you know, he's had that pasting at the end from Sean. He knows it's not safe, but she tries to give him the cuddles and calls him the little koala, and almost keep him in that infantile state and keep everything together, keep this status quo. Nothing needs to rock the boat. Even though this new stepfather figure has attacked her son, she doesn't want to rock the boat. She doesn't want to change that equilibrium.
So she's not necessarily trapped in the relationship with him and unable to love the son she wants in the way she wants anymore.
Well, I think she's desperate to have a man.
She's in hot to the sexual side of it.
Absolutely, and will do anything with just to keep him. I mean, in my head, she's had a few. You know, her husband and Goob's father has died. So very early on, there's a scene in a van with a character called Levi, who was one of his father's best friends. That's not really written in the story, but he's talking about. He shows him a photograph of his dad, a kind of Elvis. It's very early, and it's
yes.
I never want to go into big detail, but he's a kind of mentor figure for him, and a kind of counterbalance against the Womack figure, a much more softer, encouraging man.
Because he's scary, Womack.
Yeah, he is, but he's stuck.
So they're all slightly victims, showing their worst side in a way.
And dealing with it in a way that they feel is best, but trapped. So again, to allude to that, there's a shot with later on in the film, Goob's in the diner looking out the window, and Sean's character Womack is at the front end, and these cars are just going by. And Sean turns around and looks at Goob, and you know, this is it.
Yes.
This is us. And then Goob just gets up and goes. And Mum's upstairs putting a red dress on, and it's all. There's something about them that just can't kind of get beyond this sort of situation.
So Goob gets away. Where he goes, obviously, is ambiguous. But
he's actually he has a little cameo, so you know he's all right in the next trilogy.
Yes, I was wondering about that actually. I didn't
yeah. Yeah, well, he's going to be in the Dodgems at a fun fair, seaside fun fair.
And Sienna Gallery, is she coming back?
No, not in that one.
I mean, is it too late for the others then? We talk about them being trapped.
How do you mean?
Can they get out of this world they're in, or are they there?
I think it's really hard. Of course they can, but you know, I think change is difficult, isn't it? So I think that they would need to see that they're trapped, and I'm not sure that they can. I think maybe Sean knows that, but you know, he's on quite a good thing really. He's coming from this sort of stock car, you know, he's womanising, but he's actually got this diner, there's a bit of land attached to it, so he's created a little world for himself. Now for him he's obviously not happy because he's seeing other women. Sienna's character, Mum, sort of tweaks that, but he's happy to let that go. But until they really look at that, I don't think they could move on. That'd be my take. Yeah.
So in a way, the Goob is the most interesting character going forward.
Yeah. I mean, arguably, you could say, look, the mentor figure, Levi, gets back with Hannah's spirit. And he shows Goob a sense of love and a commitment and a loyalty of, look, you know, I know that Hannah has been with Shaw, you know, I know things, but I'm going to give it another go and I'm going to try and make this work. So Goob gets these little ideas and notions. Of course, he's walked in and seen Womack having sex with his mum quite brutally. It's kind of a loveless scenario. He's had a little fumble at the racetrack, and then he meets Marin with his picker, and something else develops for him there. And this, hopefully, I was just trying to convey this sense of, a steep learning process, but one that he picks up. And through that, and again through his interaction with, I can't remember the bloody character's name, Elliot.
Yes.
He sees another side of masculinity there. So he's getting these lessons that hopefully, look, when he leaves on that bike, we know it's going to be a rocky few weeks, months, whatever, years, but that's why in the next one I wanted to show that actually he had managed to get out, and he is, albeit, you know, he's got a little job, and, you know, he's holding that down.
It's a great bit of casting for Goob.
Yeah,
great
he's
find.
Brilliant. He's great. He's got a Bowie quality, I think.
And there's a beautiful shot where you've just got half his face where he's lying in bed.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
Mm. Yeah, he's beautiful. Is that our coffee?
Yes, I think it might be.
Is that coffee?
Yeah, I'm just going to refresh this.
Thank you.
Due to what drink?
No, we're okay, thanks.
You sure?
Yes, thanks.
Did you, when you found Liam for the role, I mean, did the role change? Is the character how you imagined it?
Well, what I wanted was a kind of an out of world kind of quality, and we hadn't got it. So we were leaving it. It was close to the wire. It was about probably 3 weeks before we were to start shooting, and I got about 5 on a backup, but nothing really clicked. And then we were getting. I think it was the most anxiety we had on the whole thing, from writing it to cutting it to whatever. It was just, we haven't really got him. And we were sending teams out to these market towns in Norfolk. I mean, I'd exhausted Norwich, which is where I live. And I was going out to King's Lynn, and I had other people and someone stumbled on him in Dereham. He just got out of bed at sort of 2 o'clock, and he was on his phone, and he just walked into the casting woman, who took a snap of him. I tried to draw it for the last time, and he had this sort of, this is an awful drawing, but he had this Spock-like quality, you know, Spock from Star Trek.
But he is attractive.
Oh, Christ, yeah. But he had this yellow T-shirt with a blue trim, and he was staring, and his hair was short, come down